Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing Dave, the Gold Mercy. If you guys are enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff.
All the armor in the world can't save.
Time to see your favorite German angel in action? Okay.
How do you think your fancy jumpsuit would fare against my hammer?
You don't even play Mercenaries turn into these? Okay.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend.
So we're boosting a Bastion. So we've set up on our team. We've already got a elimination on their Ana, which is nice. Nice a limb to start things off. We're set up. We've got Mercy as the hero that we're playing here. Partner support is BAP, so that is a fair amount of healing available on this team. We have Bastion, which is a good Mercy boost, but makes the comp, I'd argue, a little boring if we're playing Pocket the Bastion. And then we've also got a Widow, which is a great secondary target to be able to jump to. Will give you angles. You can actually spend, they're almost a primary target for you. Yes, your primary target will be damage boosting the Bastion, but they're a really good secondary target for you because BAP can easily stay on the Bastion, can lamp the Bastion, etc. Can lamp while you res the Bastion, all that good stuff, while you can jump over to the Widow here and support that. So this is great for you. And then you've got Hog as well to damage boost those hook pull-ins if you see an opportunity. It is your job to pay attention to that, so this is a little bit of a problem. You positioned here, and while I understand why you positioned here, it makes more sense than positioning out here. It does create a situation, because, you know, of how tucked in your Bastion is, it does create a situation where you can't really jump over to your Widow quickly. So as weird as it is, you probably actually didn't want to extend this beam out to absolute max range unless you're ready to tuck way out here to go do that, which I don't really want. We probably want you a little closer. It does make you a little more vulnerable to like bouncing Junkrat nades, a little more vulnerable to they're trying to outright run you over. But if they're trying to outright run over your Bastion, one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to get a lamp on your Bastion, and B, the option to jump out of the whole situation to your Widow is probably more attractive than a couple extra feet distance. I don't really like Bastion's position. He's easily jumped there. Yeah, it's pretty easy to run him over. It's pretty easy for a team to just be like, we have D.Va and Reinhardt. We're going to flick on our DM and walk at you. Bye. I agree. Good stop short.
Don't stop now.
Reasonable swaps. Go grab your Widow. I actually would have jumped past there. You don't know what's going to be through the window, so I actually did want to do the little tech hop to jump past so that you can potentially tuck in here if you need to. If that's perfectly clear, you can walk right back and go back to your Bastion. But again, we're not too worried about leaving your Bastion alone because there's clearly a clump and your BAP will be responsible for healing or lamping that clump.
I've got you.
That said, yes, damage boost is a lot of damage for your Bastion.
Well done. Where does it hurt?
Bastion must be worried about the changes. His skin fell off, so he's playing at 5 meters. I love it, James. I love it. No, wait for your health to go back. Wait for your health to go back. Now go get Widow. Back out, and now go get Widow. I don't know why it's taking you so long to turn. I'm okay with this, but you can already be turning to look. There's no reason you can't look this way as your Guardian is coming to an end to be like, hey, what's going on here? What's going on here? Why, you know, do I need to immediately get behind this? Do I need to double back to get behind this? Do I need to find a new target? Like, I want information of what's on here. I don't need to be looking in this direction, nor do I need to be looking at my Widow. So, like, I want to look back this way, or even this way. You're staring at a wall. Now you've got more useful information, and I do like that you tried to tuck on this pillar. Back on your Widow. See, there's no reason for that to have happened. You can see that your Widow's burning. Oh, she's purple too. Okay, you can't actually save her.
Let's get you back out there.
I still would have Guardian to her to be like, can we, will there be even a fraction of a moment to save her? Okay, they probably don't want to push in the lamp, so this is your res opportunity. This is your res opportunity. No, you needed to go past. The rock was not your friend. Your friend was to res this more from this direction. We wanted to go past this and res from here, not behind the rock. It's not terrible, but you're more vulnerable to like a halt here than you would have been over here.
Let them up.
We still need you.
And this is a recovery Valk. A second earlier, a half second earlier, I would have accepted the Valk. I wouldn't have liked it. Now this is going to be real tough.
Heroes never die.
You do have shots. You do have shots, and you were on damage boost when your Bastion was purple. Now you're trying to stay healed. Heals make sense because he can't attack anyway. You're not going to get another res. So the question is, can you help? Like, Widow is your shot back into this. Watch for Hawk to hit a hook, but Widow is your shot into this. Okay, this is over. Leave. All the way out. Sebastian hit scan. So far, so good. See, this seems like decent knowledge of swapping beams and positioning, so I'm curious what makes this Mercy gold. Yes. I mean, this isn't the most, like, average match because there's a Bastion involved, but yes, there are things that make this Mercy gold, like when they choose to check on their opponents, where they chose to hit that res behind the rock from. You could have hit that res from behind that rock in plat, but you would have expected as you go higher to hit that res instead from behind the building instead that was deeper into cover, harder to get halted out against a team that had halt. There's that Valk, you know, was a, hey, you hit that 3/4 of a second earlier and it's quite a bit better. It's still a bit of a recovery Valk, but it's quite a bit better than the one that did get hits. Yeah, things like that. I was continuing here. Oh, we have Dave in here. I'm on console. Maybe should increase stick sensitivity. Okay, got it. You'd consider it. You're not going to retake this. He's dreaming. You're just risking getting staggered. On comms, yell to back off.
You needed a doctor?
Dreaming. No. Oh no. Yes, go pocket Widow. I do not care about this forward team. In fact, they're not going to get eliminated quickly enough. Oh boy.
Let me get you patched up.
Okay, now you have to play forward. You got enough eliminations. You have to go support the forward team and try to save this.
Fall back.
This is so garbage.
Fall back.
Boost Widow faster. You missed your window. Do it now. That should have been a stop short. You did not actually want to end up in this window. You wanted to end up over here and then immediately step left. You ended up in a window that Widow had been shooting from, that perhaps shots from, say, a Hanzo that would be trying to counter-snipe the Widow might hit you. I'm shouting fall back, but felt bad leaving them to get eliminated. Yeah, there was actually a window. Like, you sort of needed to find the right timing where it was like, originally the right decision was to leave, and then they got an elimination, and you have to go, shoot, I have to double down on this. I have to go up here and force more eliminations and actually hope we get eliminated while I'm forcing more eliminations, or that we just totally wipe them, and then my team can back off. Or, if we can get eliminated right after we got eliminations, that's fine, because we'll respawn before they can have it in. But you really didn't want situations where you got an elimination, then you went for a while not getting an elimination, then your team got eliminated. So that was a very difficult situation, I agree, and I did talk through what the right thing to do at the right moment was, but honestly, that's not a situation that you should run into a lot. It's very rare to see a team forward hold Hanamura second like this. Teams will hold Teams will use this space defensively on Hanamura, but they're using it by setting up Widows and Orissas and things like that in these spots to be like, we're going to punish you on the way in. They're not setting up Bastions here to do it.
Get in here.
Yeah, the window for the fast respawn is quite small. But not super small. Like, it's... You do have a couple seconds after the point caps to get it. You don't have to be eliminated before the point caps to get your respawn sped up. You do have seconds. Yeah. Why are you on Rhine? Your BAP is right here. Why are you on Rhine? Oh, I can go chill with Widow? I'm going to go chill with Widow. Chill with Widow? Yeah, cool. Works for me. I don't want to be with Rhine.
Damage boost engaged.
I mean, like, I'm damage boosting him, but so we can Fire Strike? Like, no, that's not as good. Fire Strike is not that high priority of a damage boost. For some reason, Mercies tend to work it in there as one of the early things they learn to boost when they're thinking about damage boosting. It's really not that high tier. Like, it's fine. It's 100 damage. It's not likely to be an elimination on its own. It could combo with something for an elimination, and you boosting it could absolutely help with that. But it's really not as good and not as important, and for what it costs is being on your Widow, thinking about your Hog, being damage boosting your BAP even, being damage boosting your Widow definitely. Panicking a bit because I think I was being shot at. Oh, so you were up there to recover your health behind the box lantern. Okay. This is okay. I don't like this. Use the cover. You see the Hanzo. Use the cover. Do not stare at the sun, the enemy team. Don't stare at them. No, stop re-peeking this. Stop re-peeking this. You're like giving Hanzo chances to shoot at you. Why are you giving them chances to shoot at you? We do not need to look at the enemy team. We can wait behind this cover and damage boost. Maybe we need to pop out here for a moment to get our beam on someone. And now that our guys left, but honestly, we'd have just Guardian Angel'd across. Like, we do not need to have been out here nearly as long as we are exposing ourselves. We could damage boost, and then we could actually peek over here if we were going to peek to figure out where stuff was, because this is where our Bastion was set up. This is where crosshairs are set. We don't want to peek the spot where crosshairs were set, and we also don't really need to look at the enemy. Like, there's just not a good benefit out of it. Stay back here. You had targets to select. Now you don't, but you could have followed them up if you wanted. And if you really did need to get information on what's the enemy doing, well, I can see over here they're not coming out this flank, or if I need to, I can peek it from here once. One thing I don't get, why isn't Fire Strike high tier? I mean, it's 100 damage. It's a medium to slow speed projectile. It gets eaten by defense matrices a lot. It gets blocked by bubbles a lot. There's no follow-up from it. It's not like a damage boosting an Ashe who was going to throw her TNT and you boosted the TNT and she's also going to hit another shot, boosted or not boosted. It's not like Storm Arrow where there's actually enough damage there to get eliminations. Like, Fire Strike isn't going to get eliminations, and Reinhardt isn't going to be his own follow-up for it. It can still combo. It's not a worthless damage boost, but it's not as good as a Zen Volley. It's not as good as TNT. It's not as good as Storm Arrow. It's not as good as a McCree that's just flashed someone and you know is going to fan. All of these things are more important. And it's not that, like, Fire Strike is so much worse than these things. It's that Fire Strike comes up a lot. Fire Strike comes up a lot. Like, it comes up every 6 seconds. And thinking about Fire Strike every 6 seconds, potentially, is pretty expensive in your brain space for something that's a fair bit worse than these. Or, you know, Hog Hook. We could talk about Hog Hook. Yeah. Fire Strike only hits GM Zens. It hits Zens just shy of GM, actually. It's like important filler. I mean, it is, and I'm not saying don't damage boost it, but think about how long our Mercy was sitting here blue beaming our Reinhardt, and our Reinhardt got 1 fire strike out of it. That definitely wasn't worth it compared to the threat of having been on the Widow the whole time. Like, that definitely wasn't worth it. And it wouldn't have been worth leaving the Widow necessarily. Like, oh, hey, Fire Strike is coming up. Fire Strike is going to get used in about a second. Let me jump over to here to beam for this Fire Strike, and now let me jump back. Like, that's not worth it either. Whereas it totally is worth it to go, oh, my Hog hooked someone, I want to be there for it. Oh, my Hanzo's about to use Storm Arrow, I'm going to drop my Widow to go jump on the Storm Arrow. Does that make sense? Like, it's actually worth leaving your Widow, leaving your Zen, leaving your BAP that you're damage boosting to get on a lot of these other things. It's not worth it to get on a Fire Strike. Okay. I hope I've made that clear. I do not mean to suggest that Fire Strike is worthless. I do not at all mean to suggest that. Like, boosting Fire Strike absolutely has value. Like, you absolutely can boost Fire Strikes, but it's not worth leaving medium priority things to go do it and then come back, and like that's where you're sort of getting into opportunity cost stuff. Didn't know the Widow was up there, my bad. All good, Dave.
The battle continues. Let's look at that outfit.
You're staying really far away from this. I mean, it doesn't bother me because it's potentially giving you options out here. But this beam isn't going to stay on him. Yeah. Can we stare through the wall at our teammates? I want to know a little bit more what's going on.
Damage and
yeah, I need to know a little bit more what's going on. And while you can't see everything, you can see teammates through walls. That's scary. We're going to give him some beam. We're going to pull ourselves back. And as we pull ourselves back, we're going to check on our Bastion again to see if he's doing something. Oh, he is doing something. So we're going to then repeak to keep our beam active on our Reinhardt, which may turn into a damage boost. And then we're going to be ready to join our Bastion when this angle opens. We're going to be ready to go, okay, I'm potentially ready to join that. But... okay. Damage boost the BAP. Damage boost the BAP. Swap back to Rein. Swap Hog missed, no problem. And now we damage boost the whole Hog. We damage boost the whole Hog. We damage boost the whole Hog. Unfortunate.
Where does it hurt?
He does not need heals. He's in a lamp. He needs damage boost.
You should be at peak
Now you
performance
can
levels.
heal him, but honestly, I'd rather damage boost anyone than heal him right now. Like, he's a Hog in a lamp that has 80% health. Nah, now we're on damage boost. Go. Can heal up your BAP. That's fine. Good. Let's pocket our tank. Pocket your tank. You in general want to pocket ults, and I have not seen enough willingness to pocket ults so far, so that whole Hog just happened, and maybe you couldn't get your beam on him, it was too complicated, there were targets around him, you had walls, I understand, but then this happened, and you didn't really pursue to get a pocket on the tank ult either. And remember, Bastion isn't particularly durable but during his tank ult. He would like some help. Like, he's got more mobility than he normally does with decent damage, but he's not, like, super durable in tank mode. He's not a tanky tank. So he absolutely would like that pocket, and that damage boost does help because he also doesn't have as high damage. He's got mobility, his damage has dropped a bit, his survivability isn't amazing. He would absolutely love your pocket. So let's make sure we're really thinking about trying to enable our big plays, which are these kinds of ults like this. Because this was absolutely something you could help. You see this is happening. You have the information that this is happening. There's no reason that you can't drop down here and walk around the corner and do this. No reason. And your beam will stay on Hog until you're ready to, until you're here and can put it on Bastion. Oh, you found through the Overwatch forum. Good to know. Good to know. And Zax, thank you so much for the post there with a lot of Mercy VODs, really. That's clearly brought some traffic here. I appreciate that.
Let's get to the house. This is not the Damage amplified. 我变强了。
What's going on the second story? Like, I'm a little uncomfortable. Is there anything over there I need to be worried about? Anything over there? Like, I sort of got to see a little bit of what was going on upstairs, but I actually would like a little bit more activity with our camera. Can I use these people as body shields as I'm walking back here? I bet I can. And I know that seems like a super micro thing, and it is, but Mercy demands that you work on a lot of micro things to get the most out of her hero. Like, everyone at some level demands that micro stuff, but because of what her kit does, because her kit acts through other people, we find things to work on.
I'm taking care of
Regen burst.
I'm here.
I think I panic a bit when the fight breaks out and struggle to identify the best target. Right, so in our priority list, we're looking for, like, we should generally have a priority list of who's good for us to work on. Then we should understand how triage works. When people get a really low health, we might have to override our priority list to keep them up with heals. When people get to low health, we might have to override to keep them up with heals. We factor in our own survivability and going to help people out. And we also factor in, do we have something big and powerful happening? Like a hog hook, like an ult. Like perhaps a pin that's about to connect next to us, that kind of thing.
Damage increased.
I don't need to stare at this. I can look to the right. I can absolutely go, hey, what's going on over here? Is anyone popping up through a window? Is there like a Hanzo or an Ashe that's popping up through a window here that would shoot at me? I can look and see that. I don't need to stare at the Bastion of Apocalypse. Yeah, when you join the match, quickly make a mental priority list. That's actually very good advice. Like, just how when I started the match, you remember when we started the match and we loaded up and paused, I said, oh, this is great for you. You've got a Bastion to pocket. You have a strong secondary and Widow. Oh, you've even got a Hog. Great. Hey, BAP is going to do some of the core healing of your Bastion, so you're more willing than usual to go over to your Widow, or to go over to your Hog even if he takes wide flanks, though he was playing core. Like, that's the sort of thing that I did that you want to do when the match starts up. And when you realize it, when there's comp adjustments, you start making those thoughts as well. So it's sort of, we went through it and thought, okay, it's not a hard list, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 was sort of how we thought about it. Okay, we don't really care about our Reinhardt very much. We care about our BAP. I'm calling BAP 4. BAP 4 is much higher than that if he's actually in trouble for healing, but is like a damage boost thought. That was sort of how we were thinking about these guys.
I've got you. You should be at peak performance. Here I come.
Okay, let me rewind a bit here. Okay, so you decide to drop down for this, but it's gone. This is a problem. Your team has managed to get itself wiped out playing far forward. So you are going to fall back, and you're going to go ahead and close this angle. Like, if you're backed up here, you decided that that's gone. I'm not sure we had to, because we still have 5 people, and BAP was able to support from there, and our BAP and our Mei was back, so you kind of hung your tanks out to dry a little bit here. But you can damage boost your BAP. You decide this is stable now, but you don't have this. So this is the sort of thing where a vocal support would be, peek me, peek right, would be saying that to their tanks. And you'll absolutely hear Ana players doing that. Mercy players doing that is more rare, but that'll absolutely happen and is something you can do. I know you're using the voice command to fall back, but like voice chat is even better if people are in it. Okay.
Where does it hurt?
Sure. You're going to be looking for your Valk very soon here.
Engaged.
This is it. This is your Valk. Fine. I don't need you just staring at this. I do not need you staring at these guys. Literally, turning and looking at where your teammates are through the wall is more useful than staring at the teammate that you're boosting. Remember, when you're playing, when you're linked up to someone, you can see their health. So if his health gets low, you know, he gets down to half or whatever, you can go, okay, I understand that I need to swap to heals. That's just fine. You don't have to look at him to do it. Looking at him gets you a little more information of exactly what damage he's taking, is there someone on him, etc. But it's not worth just constantly staring at him. We can take, you know, every few seconds, every 4 seconds, every 3 seconds, whatever it wants to be, let's look and figure out where our teammates are, because that might change. We might see that our BAP is missing health. We might see that he's under pressure. We might start walking closer to him. We might see that, oh wait, my Roadhog is, you know, wait, there's a blizzard going on and my Roadhog is in it? Shoot, this is an amazing opportunity to Guardian over there and boost him, and he can do a ton of work, and I can sit behind Light Post, and then, you know, I'm safe behind Lamp Post while my Pog does a bunch of work in the blizzard, as an example. Would he actually do a ton of work in this blizzard? No. But, like, we want this extra information. We can't make better decisions without better information, and I don't want us to expose ourselves like you were doing here to get that information. I want us to look through walls at our teammates. That's our first tier of information.
Heroes never die.
You don't have to anymore. Like, I know that, hey, it's making the noise, they got a tick, it's annoying, but, like, you're on top of your own spawn, and you just got 3 eliminations. And you have 3 eliminations, 2 of them you just got. Like, you don't have to Valk anymore. There was a time to Valk in this fight. There absolutely was. That time has passed. You might have prevented the tick. There was things that, hey, it made sense to Valk. The fight was in a spot where it made sense to do so. Valk is a more preemptive thing, not a late in the fight thing, if we can avoid it. That doesn't mean we'll never do it late in a fight. But we look at this and go, hey, this is a situation that we absolutely do not need to invest in. We're on top of our own spawn, and 3 of them are eliminated, and their spawn is super far away. We'll be okay. Zax! Zax! Oh, that hurts to hear.
Heroes never die. I'm taking care.
What? What?
Heroes never die.
So that's purple. That's purple. We don't need to heal that.
Well done.
That's a hog cooking someone, so it should immediately be damage boost. Like, we're immediately thinking about damage boost, not heals here.
I'm taking care
I don't know.
of
I'm shocked that this stayed on heals. I am shocked that that stayed on heals. It should just be a reaction. Like, it really needs to be just automatic reaction. My hog hooked something and it's damage boost. Like, there's no thinking involved. That's just what happens. That's just like, oh, my hand just did that. Huh, weird. You didn't want to melee. You have infinite ammo. You don't need to melee. And headshots matter. But the real issue is you didn't need that Valk. You guys had already cleanly won that fight. Battle you know, don't know why you did it, no info from point, probably like you mentioned, right. I didn't know like 3 years that change on charge on sorry also makes right click stronger. I hear you, Zach. But hey, Zach, the more you play, the more you learn. The more you watch Temporal, the more you learn. Might be the better way of putting that. Okay. I don't want to be here. Yep, better, but that wall won't last. Okay, you can heal for a sec, then damage boost. Cool. No, we don't need to be out in the open. This is good. This is good. I don't know why we feel a need to jump back out here. I don't know what this is doing for us. Like, oh yes, now we know exactly where the Orisa and the D.Va are. Okay. There's use for that occasionally, but I didn't need to peek this far to do that. I could have peeked much less to do that. I could still see where my Reinhardt was, and that was kind of interesting information from here. I could pick my BAP between my BAP and my hog to damage boost. This was a pretty good spot, and I could check up here to see if there was any threat. I liked this spot just fine. I don't like this spot. I'm thinking about this Rein play. I am already thinking about this Rein play of my Rein is going to try to hit a pin, and if my Rein hits a pin, It's going to try to be something back here. And do I want to peek that and Guardian Angel and damage boost the pin in case he gets a tank for more damage? I'm already having that thought because I can see what's happening because I was checking on my teammate there. Turned out he shattered. Fine with me. Do I want to get more aggressive during this? Well, no, I'm actually pretty fine with this. I could push up to my Rein, but I'm okay damage boosting my BAP from here. Beautiful timing on the swap. Swap back to your BAP. Swap back to your BAP. Swap back to your BAP, and now Guardian to your Bastion. You swap to heals. You're a little slow on your swap to heals there. When he's transforming, he's not doing damage. Heal. Back to damage. You're trying. You're doomed.
30 seconds remaining.
How high do you rate Mei against an Orisa? As good as against a Rein?
Score 0-2. Switching sides.
No, not as good as against Rein because Mei putting a little bit of slow on Rein is way more annoying to Rein than it is to Orisa. So no, Mei's fine against Orisa. Main can still hit good splits on an Orisa. Not as strong as against a Rein though. Good, not amazing. Not like, oh, the most impactful matchup like the Rhinos. Okay, so obviously there's stuff to work on here, Dave. The most important thing that we're seeing so far is definitely that we're a little too willing to just hang out where people can see us. Like we want to see the information with our eyes in the open, and we're doing a little too much of that for not a good reason, and we're not doing enough of actually checking on our teammates through walls. Like we need, in order to play Mercy better, you've actually got, a reasonable idea of your damage swap versus heal swap. Your res, even though I said, hey, there was a better spot, was a reasonable res. Your Valks are a big, the Valk that both Valks I didn't particularly like, so your Valks are actually probably the biggest issue, so Valks are the biggest thing that we've seen so far. But the other thing, and the thing that we've seen more of, is your information, your scouting. We need to upgrade your scouting. We both need to upgrade the safety of your general scouting of, hey, check on your teammates through walls. You can do that. Your Mercy, that's great. And you can do that when other people can't. You can interact with someone while not looking at them. That's amazing. And then we do want, we don't mind the occasional peek into the open to see where the opponents are, but we want to think about, can I peek this like back when you were on second? Instead of peeking this here, can I peek this over on this side of the cover? Like, that's the thing that matters. And can I please not spend so much time in the open really just peeking them for no reason? So those are the two things that are the biggest deal right now. Your Valk usage and that. And we'll get more into your Valk usage as we see more here.
System check initiated. Green across the board.
Okay.
I'm ready for action.
When you get hit by a high charge Zarya right click. Yeah, no, I understood the pistol. That wasn't a problem. Would you actually prefer to damage boost Zen instead of Soldier on longer range? No, I would. I would prefer to boost Zen volley. I wouldn't necessarily prefer to standard boost Zen unless my standard boosting Zen was also offering him protection because there was a flanker on the board that had taken some space that we were worried about, or my Zen had a better angle type thing. I'd probably suck it up and boost the Soldier outside of his fall-off damage. I probably need a little more experimenting now with the new fall-offs reduced again to be 100% on that, but that's my off-the-cuff take, yeah. Did you say splits? What's a split on Mei? I don't know what that was in reference to, sorry. Oh, splits, like team splits. Like you're splitting their team with Mei walls. And you absolutely saw that. Like in the playoff meta that I did with Phase 2, there was a lot of Orisa Mei. Because what you would see was that meta was Orisa, D.Va, Mei, Reaper, Lucio, Moira. And you absolutely saw a lot of Mei wall splits. And you also saw a lot of Orisa. In theory, there was the crossbow as well, which was sort of a secondary thing that got run, which was the Orisa, Hog, Hanzo, Mei, plus, was it Zenbap? Might have been that. I don't remember exactly what the sport line was. We recognized that it was only important for 20% of the time, and it was the less flexible, less powerful, less important. While it had places where short term it was probably better, it made way more sense to put limited practice time in a playoff meta into the Reaper Mei thing. And we did quite well in part as a result of that. Anyway.
One. Attackers incoming.
Hey G's Ryan, how you doing?
End objective A.
Take a deep breath.
But sometimes you have no long range heroes, so an early boost on Zen makes sense. Yep. Super bad play coming up. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear super good plays. Hey, Semitic. You survived because Ash can't shoot. Right. Mei can carry a rush game very hard. Walls are amazing. Blizzard is great. Okay, so we're playing with the Pharah now. We get some interesting Mercy stuff. We got a Bastion first round, which isn't super interesting, but is a little different. And now we get a Pharah this round. Okay. I don't want to be on this side of it. I did not want to be on this side. If this is where my Pharah is playing, I wanted to be on this side. I wanted to be floating down on this side of the wall with my aerial cover. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I see. And then as soon as you realize this is going wrong, you just have to drop here. You just have to hard drop here and walk out. Like, that has to be what happened, but I think you forgot where the platform was, and you're like, is the platform more to the left? The platform is not more to the left. Okay, back to your Pharah. Heal her. Great. Damage boost immediate, or, excuse me, Guardian immediately. Fine. You do want to stick with her. She's going to give you spots to play with. Like, she actually would have given you the ability to deposit yourself right up here. This Pharah has actually surprisingly shown a pretty good idea of how to play with a Pharah. Not like super aggressive Pharmacy with a Mercy, but like actually fairly Mercy protected. Like, she gave you the option to be here, and now she just gave you the option to be here if you'd been sticking with her. Like, this Pharah so far is giving decent defensive Mercy spots.
Ich bin da.
I mean, the half-health Genji in the cleanup, probably not the Pharah, but okay.
Thanks. Damage boost engaged.
Again, the Genji. Like, for all you know, your Genji would go up here and look for shots if you healed him, so let's heal him.
Hot in here, or is it just me?
I'm taking care of you.
Okay, you heard it didn't connect. He doesn't need heals. He needs damage boost. That was definitely damage boost. He's got like 70. He's got closer to 80% health. We're totally good damage boosting that.
Damage amplified.
Objective A captured. New
Your
defense
support has arrived.
Oh no. You need some work on that. You do have to
Your
predict
support
as Mercy
has arrived.
where the aerial stuff is going to be. Like, you just learn this as you play with pharmacies. Like, where is the aerial stuff that you're going to have to Guardian Angel over with your Pharah over. And if you have preferred beam target on, it's better, but you're going to have to wait so long. Like, you just timed this Guardian Angel wrong. Too late, effectively. And now you're, like, waiting. Yeah.
Thanks for the assist.
Okay. The TNT is 0 threat to you.
Damage increase.
Sure.
Let me get you patched up.
Did that break, or did you have to swap it?
Damage increased.
Your Genji's doing something really aggressive, so I absolutely want this beam. I absolutely want this beam on him. Okay, that naturally broke. You didn't swap it. That's fine.
Let me get you patched up.
Damage boost over here. Please damage boost your Pharah. Why are you still on your Hog? That hurts. Again, you're not rotating fast enough here. This isn't the first time that you've been a little slow on acquiring your target, on like changing your camera to acquire your target. You know where your Pharah is. I don't think that's the struggle here. I think you just have a natural cadence, speed, whatever, at which you play the game, and maybe that's tied to your sensitivity, maybe it's not. But like, if you go look at higher level Mercies, they simply play faster than this. And it's actually can be helpful to do so. You might want to look at one of my higher level Mercy reviews because you'll just see they play faster. And I don't need you to be like, oh, well, I just need to play faster. I need you to recognize that playing faster exists, because this is the type of thing that some Mercies like don't even realize it can be done better. Like, it's just like, oh, this is how the game is played, right? And it's actually important to be like, no, I can play the game faster. I can turn faster. I can move faster. I can know who I'm going to Guardian Angel over to faster. And again, it's not some like, oh, this is unacceptable. This is totally fine for this level. But I want you to realize that faster exists. There was absolutely the opportunity to already be damage boosting your Pharah right here. And that matters because that's like 3 rockets of time, 4 rockets of time. That's like a whole clip that she... Okay, now she goes down, and that definitely didn't need to happen.
Thanks.
You needed a doctor?
Let me show you how it's done.
Group up
Yeah, the
over
tight
here.
turn after a corner is a little rough. You just get good at predicting where your Pharaohs are going to go. I'm afraid I don't have any amazing advice for that, other than you learn the paths that they're going to take, and you learn when you need to hit your Guardian Angels, when aerial cover and like lips that your Pharaohs are likely to go over are involved. You learn, and you try to hit your Guardian Angel early sort of as a result of that, so that you have it back, because you can follow them a little bit after they've gone over it, because your beam will stick. But if you just Guardianed, and then right after you Guardian to them, they go over a lip, then you're in trouble.
Damage boost engaged.
I am empowered.
Where does it hurt?
Again,
Where does it hurt?
I've got no issue Guardian Angeling over towards this, but I want to be looking this way, because this is the threat. This is where damage could come from. This is things I have to be aware of. I want to know, hey, is a Hanzo shooting us through there? Is an Ashe shooting us through there? I want to know these things. And while I'm Guardian Angeling, costs me nothing to do that. And I'm not like hiding my head hitbox better by doing this. Like, why am I... What's going on over here? Is there an Ashe shooting at us still? You know, you lost track of her. All good, David. All good. Little late to get on your Genji there. Don't bother. Don't res. Don't res. No, no, no.
This is not your time.
So you've now put your res on a 30-second cooldown, and you were already down 2 people. You're down 2 people on second point attack. Your spawn's all the way back there. Their spawn is right on top of the point. It's not happening. This fight is over. We don't want to res back into this point. Even though he has Blade, we don't want to res back into this point, because it's a situation where, hey, we're down 2 people. And sure enough, they come out and they get more eliminations. Like, you resed to make it a fight where you were less down, and then they went and got more eliminations. Like, you actually are potentially feeding them extra ult charge and an extra person that they can eliminate. But also, as you get better, you will discover there are not 30 seconds between team fights. There are frequently not 30 seconds between team fights, so you may not have this early in the next team fight when it could have actually been impactful. Here, it was not impactful, and you knew it wasn't going to be impactful. Like, when you chose to res that person, you knew that you had 2 people eliminated, and they'd gotten eliminated at roughly the same time, so you weren't really speeding up your next push either, because they got eliminated within 1 to 2 seconds of each other. So even though you resed the one that got eliminated later of the 2, so technically you maybe saved your team a second or so, definitely not worth your res.
Let me show you how it's done.
Fall back. Fall back. Fall back.
Supercharger is ready to be deployed.
Let's get you back out there.
Understood.
You don't need to be jumping.
I'm here.
It's a less bad habit on Mercy than other heroes, but you don't need to be doing it.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
Damage amplified. They're all over me. Heilstrahl aktiviert.
just so uncomfortable. Like, what's in this window? Well, there's not an Ashe in this window because TNT came through. But is there a Hanzo in this window? Is there an Ana in this window? Like, is there a Lucio riding along this here? Like, I desperately want some information on what's going on here. Is there a Pharah over there that might want a pocket as she ease herself in for some play? I don't know. Like, I'm so uncomfortable on what's going on half the map right now. Ugh. We're gonna Valk this. Valk.
Heroes never die.
Okay. That's fine. You can technically have been healing while the self-destruct is out because you know it's very likely that your team is going for cover. But that's fine. Sure. And now back to damage. They're at over half health and they're in a lamp and they have a bear if they want it. You're on damage, not heals right now. Cool. And yeah, I'd go forward for your Pharah. Your Hog's going to be fine, but I'd absolutely go forward for your Pharah right now. We're going to Guardian to our Pharah. We're then going to tuck ourselves up here. Once our Pharah is healed up a little more, we're then going to be damage boosting these two over here. No problem. You have won this point. Unfortunate. You're still going to play up. You can't anymore. Yeah, I know. Tuck behind Lightbox. Tuck behind Lightbox. You do not need to be on Hog anymore. You need to get back to your team. Swap to Genji. Genji will get more benefit from the heal than Hog. Too late. You saw the hook! You saw the hook! You could have flicked to him in damage boost. Be ready to get out. Be ready to get up to your team.
Let's get the ball out there.
Good. You hear the Reaper? Do you need to pocket someone? Do you need to be the peeling princess that is Mercy to help someone out from this Reaper? Is this Reaper on someone that you could turn the fight with your beam? Well, maybe. Flip. And the answer was yes. And you did it. Congrats. Now, the truth is, you're probably not finishing this point anymore, but your team's not going to cut, so be it. Okay. Yeah, so that res only makes sense. The res was always questionable because I don't think you're going to win this fight anymore, even with the res, but you can't hit a res if during the time that you're going to hit the res, you're going to lose someone else. Like, that's a general rule of thumb. If you beam this Hog, you might not lose him, and you might find a situation where then you will be able to hit the res. But right now, it's like 80% chance that you're going to lose the Hog if you try to hit this res.
This is not the end. Let me get you patched up.
Yeah, you're being baited into taking long on a losing fight here, and the res can further contribute to that. That's unfortunate. Should they be playing with Pharah main? They can, yeah. Back when Pharah went through the window, that was perfectly legit to go with the Pharah. But it wasn't a 100% need. I would have recommended it, but it was not a 100% need.
Damage increase.
Thoughts on Orisa standing there to attack? I think it's great for hit scan, but it seems like her shield gets no value. I think when the window was up there, it was absolutely justifiable. Bap and Orisa using the window, having the shield with them, protecting them while they're shooting through the window was totally justifiable. I think Orisa probably did, yes, need to work her way forward onto the point to be able to provide better support to Hog with, you know, hey, she can soak some, her barrier is in play in a way that both her and Hog can use it. I think that would have probably been better once we got to the situation where the window was no longer in play. Instead, our BAP came forward, which was the opposite of what we wanted. We wanted our BAP to stay back there and probably our Orisa to come forward. Right. You got it, Smitic. Okay. Or just Hog to have backed out of the fight a little more, which he was trying to do, but needed more time to do.
My ultimate is charging. We make a great team.
Let me show you how it's done.
Where does it hurt? Powered up.
So now you're on Genji Tracer.
My ultimate is ready. Valkyrie is ready. Group up.
If Hog can get in position, you could Valk this push. Don't care that your Genji's not here. You got the Lucio elimination late enough. No, you need to look. Like, you need to look, because it might be time to Valk right now. It's not quite. Not quite. Like, you need to be
Let's
shouting
get to
push,
that
push,
alpha.
push. Push, push, push.
Damage boost
Valk.
engaged.
It's time to Valk. It is time to Valk. Your team is set up. Your Hog has himself an angle. Your Tracer is in. Your Orisa is contributing. Your BAP has an angle. Like, it is time to Valk.
Well done. Heroes never die.
Okay. It's late. It's definitely late. It's still right to do it because you haven't done it yet, but it was late.
The battle
Supercharger's a
continues.
committal too much. You'd have preferred to hold the Supercharger for their recontest. As is the whole Hog.
Damage increase.
Yep. Genji was right. Your team was positioned. You needed to wait until your Hog was relevant. Your Hog, unfortunately, was down here, and you needed to wait until he was up here. That was the key sign you were waiting for. Like, you had the Orisa here. The key thing you were waiting for was either your Hog to be up here, or what ended up happening, your Tracer being in here, and they happened at the same time. Either one of them happening, with your Orisa being here and your BAP being here, was enough to trigger you Valking. And it was a situation where you could Valk. You could have even Valked if you saw the opportunity while your Genji was still on his way back here because of the timing of the eliminations between your Genji and their Lucio.
Score 2-2.
All those blue lines. Can you believe people say Overwatch has too much visual clutter? No, not at all. Not at all.
Initiating match.
I'll be watching over.
Ready for battle.
Regen burst activated. Pansement ou soit balle.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Thank you, E54. It seems that you are growing from your original programming.
Just missing a giant Symmetra wall, that would have helped. That would have helped. I actually think we could have used a Coalescence in there too. Maybe two.
Ich bin da.
Nothing.
Maybe a Blizzard.
5, 4, 3,
And maybe a Grab.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Keep an eye on your health and
Okay,
call for me if
this
you
is
need
actually a
assistance.
stronger position for you now that the Widow doesn't exist.
Don't let up on them. Healing stream engaged.
Annoying. Be ready to be on him. You don't want to stay on him, but you want to be ready to be on him. Now is when you'd swap back to him with heal beams. You stayed on him too long. I mean, it's annoying, but there's nothing you can do. Now you're healing. No, that's a tough call. Is your BAP full healed? No, he's not. What are we doing?
In the right side.
Okay, you've correctly decided that your TP is potentially more safety. That's fair.
30 seconds remaining.
10 to go there so I can spot flankers on point. Okay.
You needed a doctor? Don't stop now.
Damage boost. They're purple. I know you want to heal, but they're purple. You can res this. You can. It's still worth doing. It's a reasonable fight. Get your res. From the angle. Perfect.
Let me take you.
10 seconds remaining.
Damage boost. This is an ult. Why are we staying on heals on our mobile ult? Okay.
Let them up.
That was a better ult pocket than your last two, but was not,
Damage amplified.
wasn't quite right.
Round
Is
3.
there anything over here?
Complete.
What about over here? What about over here? Can I tuck harder here and crouch? Am I going to play behind the bell? That's okay, then let's play behind the bell.
Danke.
Immortality field down.
Score.
I see they have chosen full cheese. No choice, unfortunately. No comps for most of the match. It's so be it. But you know they're going to cheese you in return now. It's the way.
Initiating match.
Is their pride going to get in the way, or are they going to full cheese you back? Okay.
Ready for battle.
Almost.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Thanks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Great.
Maintaining connection.
So that's, again, a tracking your fair thing. You have to understand that you kind of have to hit your Guardian Angel before she gets any further away, because you don't want this to happen, where now it's a little tough to get to her. You will force your way past if you hit Guardian Angel and force your way past on this side, but if you hit the Guardian Angel early, you could have dropped yourself right here quite nicely. Quite nicely. There was the opportunity to do that, and that you kind of wanted to do. There's no, like, Widow or Ashe sitting here or here. Like, you wanted to do that.
Let's get you back out there.
Yeah. And now your fair is trying to give you an opportunity. Yeah, you are not playing particularly nice with this fair. It's part of why they swapped the Tracer earlier.
Damage increase.
And she's making an effort to play nice with you is the thing. Sure. Can we not be here? Can we get cover? Thank you.
Healing stream engaged.
Again, there's an opportunity there to go, hey, your fair is drifted right here, where you can Guardian right up to her, and then slow fall your way out to this platform, and then just play the rest of the match from this platform.
Healing stream engaged. Securing the objective.
Okay. Okay. So
Healing stream engaged.
there's really 4 places we could go with this review in terms of things for you to work on, and we're not actually going to cover all of them, but what they would be Valk, scouting, Pharah, and ult pocketing. Those are all things that you could reasonably work on from this review. This is the highest impact because this just is the highest impact. Like, the reality is Valk tends to be the biggest impact maker with Mercy of Mercy's kit in terms of, hey, this is how you change the outcome of more team fights. You go, I'm going to force extra team fight wins by Valking with appropriate timing. Not Valking for recovery, but Valking with appropriate timing to go, hey, it's a 6v6 and I'm making it a Phantom 7v6. Not because of the res, though that can be fine, but because it's this extra 30% damage that everyone gets that can be toggled over to 60 healing as a triage thing, and then back to extra damage, and it's just powerful. It's like a good power play type situation. And you had one where you sort of went for this, but you were super late with it. I think you had another where you maybe tried to do it, but then you had others where you're trying to go for the recovery Valk. The recovery Valk is to be avoided. There are times when a recovery Valk, and what I mean by a recovery Valk is, oh, a bunch of my teams are missing health, and maybe we're down a person, and I'm going to Valk to try to keep us in the fight, to try to heal us back up. There are times when that will win you a team fight. There are times when you have no choice but to do that. You're on second point defense on Hanamura. Your team is in a grab. You've got no choice but to Valk to try to save them. But those are something you actively want to avoid if you can, because the power play Valk is a lot better. Valk is just 60 health per second is not a lot. It's not Sound Barrier. It's not Transcendence. Transcendence is 300 health per second for reference. Beat gives you what, 700 extra HP, something along those lines. Like, it is just not those ults. It's not a lamp. Like, it is something to increase your offensive potential with the flexibility to be, hey, here's pretty good healing, which is really just to stabilize them long enough to get them back to Valk. So we want to Valk. We want to even Valk while the fight's still a 6v6. We're not going, oh, our team's in trouble, now let's Valk. Oh, we're on defense and they pushed us hard enough, now let's Valk. It's, oh, we're on defense and they're committed to the fight as the opposing team. Let's Valk, and let's just put this fight, let's just put a W up. I don't care that they haven't used any ults yet. We're going to Valk. Valk is going to charge everyone else's ults. Totally fine with me that we used an ult at the beginning of the fight. We don't want to use it like before the enemy team is in at all, but we want to use that Valk. We want to use that Valk as soon as the enemy team is committed in such a way that it's actually going to be expensive for them to disengage. And this is like, this is true for a lot of Mercy players, but it is such a big impact part of her kit that's easy to do better. So this is the first thing I really want you to focus on and work on. This is going to get you the most mileage. It really is. And we saw a couple bad ones. And I know it's like, oh, but if I hadn't Valked on first point defense, then, you know, we for sure would have lost it. Well, you could potentially go, well, I'm going to Valk before the situation gets bad. I'm going to Valk right as the enemy team starts to commit, so before the situation is bad. Or you could go, well, I'm 100% going to stop the snowball because I have my Valk for the second thing. Because remember, that Valk didn't work, and Valks frequently don't work when you're already behind. It's not that powerful of an ult if you're having to lean on it like 50, 60, 70% for healing because you just find yourself behind and staying behind and you don't catch back up to a point at which you can use damage boost. And damage boost really, really is the good piece of it. Okay, the second thing that I want you to work on is I do want you to work on your scouting. And this is specifically going to be, I want you to do two things in relation to your scouting. I want you to go, I want to specifically look through walls at my teammates more often, or look down flank paths that are visible to me, that I don't think have opponents, to make sure that there still aren't opponents on them. And you can do that every 4 seconds, every 6 seconds, every 3 seconds. I don't really care, but you need to be doing it because right now you're mostly not. And that's going to get you better information, and you need better information to make better decisions. Your decision making actually looks pretty good right now, but the more information you have, the better decisions you can make. Now, at some level, yes, more information will overwhelm you, but the more information you get used to processing, the better informations you'll get used to making in the future. So in order to make better informations, we need better decisions, we need more information. And the best way to get that information, the safest way to get that information, is to look through walls at your teammates. And then to check down flanks, just look down them, not like go explore them yourself, just look down them to see, hey, is there a Tracer showing up there? Hey, is there an Ashe over there? Etc. That sort of thing. Oh, there is? I better tuck out of the way and maybe I'll comm to my team that something's over there too. The next best way to get scouting information, and you can do some of this, is you can peek. You can peek into the open. You are going to do that occasionally because it does give you a little bit of information on how the fight is progressing, and some of that, to augment the information that you more frequently have of where your teammates are, is helpful because it does tell you, oh, hey, is it safe to go out to my teammate out there to help them? Oh, hey, what angles, what portions of the map do the opponents control? So things like that are helpful. You're going to get that information less often because it exposes you, but you're going to do that by peeking. You're going to do that with short peeks, and you, if you have the option, are going to peek preferably from places that aren't where your teammates are standing, because where your teammates are standing will already have fire coming towards them. And we talked about a place to do that on Hanamura First, for example. So those are the two things related to scouting, and I'm considering that one thing, but those are two little bits about scouting there. And these really are the two things I'd focus on. We could talk about either of these. Both of these exist, and I talked about them in the review, but they're not nearly as important as these two things are for you right now. If I had to go with the next one, it would actually be pocketing ults, and pocketing ults is very easy. I really wouldn't worry about this Pharah thing very much right now. Like, yes, it's there. Yes, this Pharah was actively trying to work with you, and you were just having none of it to some degree. But I'm not too worried about that. that's not actually going to happen that often, and Fair is not some amazing hero that you're losing a ton of games by not enabling, as much as that sucks. So these are the two things, and what I want you to do is I want you to use 5 to 15% of your brain power to focus first on working on this first thing. Focus on this first thing. Maybe you focus on it with 5 to 15% of your brain power for 5 games. Maybe you do it for 50 games, maybe do it for 25 games, however long until it clicks and you find yourself correctly using Valk, correctly going, hey, this is basically the start of the fight. This isn't necessarily like 10 seconds before the fight, but this is effectively the start of the fight. It's right as the fight got real or right before the fight got real, and we just took over the fight with Valk, and the opponents can't really back out of it. If they try, we still get a couple eliminations. And you want to really get good at recognizing and hitting that timing, and you want to be trying. You want to be focusing on finding and hitting that timing. And if you go, hey, shoot, I used a recovery Valk, you're going to go, well, was there a good enough reason that I had to? Was it we were defending last point and, basically we just lost if we did? Because that's going to happen sometimes. So that's what we really want to focus on. That's going to get you the most bang for your buck. And that's what I want you to do. And so you just think about this with part of your brain power while you're playing the game. And then after a couple games, you go, okay, maybe I look at one of my games and I check. Maybe I just jump through to 3 of my Valks or 2 of my Valks in one of my games, every 3 games, every 5 games, and say, okay, did my Valks look good? Or did these Valks that I just jumped back and checked to look good? And you'll be able to say, yeah, I think these were pretty good. Or you'll go, no, I think this should have been 2 seconds earlier. I think this one should have been 3 seconds later. And you won't get perfect necessarily right away, but you will get better at your Valks. And once you feel like you've made really good progress on that, and that progress is stuck, you move on to the second thing, which is the scouting thing, and then you work on it the same way. But if when you move on to the scouting thing, you find your Valks start getting meaningfully worse, drop the scouting thing, stop thinking about it, and go back to working on the Valk, because it means you haven't ingrained this habit of doing Valks correctly yet. So we need to keep the focus on that, keep actively working on that, and then, maybe 15 more games later, 3 days later, 4 days later, a week later, whatever, we go try to work on scouting again, and hopefully this time it doesn't drop off. And that's what we're looking to do. A little bit of drop off is normal because you're not actively thinking about it, but we need to have actually ingrained it in the habit. We don't want to get halfway there in the habit and then drop it, because that's how we get better at Overwatch. We stack a bunch of correct micro habits. Okay, that's what I'm going to give you. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, go ahead and like and subscribe, as that helps me out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. Okay, let me catch up on chat here. Full cheese. Red team support's kind of through by running Ana and especially Lucio with this comp. Yeah, a little bit. You want to concentrate on helping the heroes. Your other support, in this case, BAP, struggles to help with his kit. Yep. Not enough Valk pistol eliminations. Yep. You Valk eliminated the Widow on Hanamura earlier, and she was bitter about it. She kept trying to... Nice. Okay. Scouting more will help with better Valk timing. Hopefully, yes. Parody says, at James, they do take it personally. Don't want to ignore the rest of the team to pocket fair, mainly because I know I'm not great at it. Well, I mean, chicken or the egg thing. As you get better at it, it'll provide more value, and you're not going to get better at it without doing it. But yes, I am not putting it. I wouldn't even consider it a top 3 for you to focus on. It happened to list it 3 here, but I'd actually consider pocketing ults more important. And again, I'm giving you the 2 things to work on because those will be much higher impact. Okay. Do you maybe not trust your BAP as much as you should? Still like your mentality, I guess. But looking back, he was decent, so maybe should have trusted him more. He was fine. Unrelated, but Blizz, please add some kind of indication through walls that someone is antied. It feels so bad to round a corner, someone low, invest in ult or cooldown, and see that they are purple. Well, no. That's your fault, Smitic. Like, you're rounding the corner and instantly pressing the button. Like, I'm okay with that sort of being a skill check, sort of being a check of, well, I know you want to nano them immediately because you know they're low, but like, oops, turns out they were purple. I'm actually okay with that interaction. I know it feels bad, but it's sort of like you'd be nerfing purples. I'm not sure I want to nerf purples, personally. Which Pokemon Temporal likes the most? Dratini, Bulbasaur, Articuno. Probably Dratini. Don't forget, Window is better than Valk, so you can leave the easy stuff for him and let him earn his window. They're different. Window's pretty good, but Windows get kited, for example, much more often than Valks do. Windows turn into space rather than teamfight wins much more often than Valks do. I'm not sure I agree with that. Like, mathematically it's better, but I'm not sure I agree with that full on. Okay, Gary F says, oh, Gary F, from last time, didn't get your thing in. I'm new to the game, trying to climb from silver. Do you think it's a good idea to pick hero mains based on sites like overbuff win rates, or do you think their heroes good for climbing? I think you should play a bunch of heroes, and then once you find, like, you should just for now just play a bunch of heroes for, a few games each to sort of figure out who you like. And what'll probably happen is you'll find either a hero really calls to you, and then you play that hero because you like them, or you find a category has a bunch of heroes you like. So maybe you find your favorite heroes are Anna, McCree, Zen, and Anna, McCree, Zen, and BAP, we'll say. Well, you look at those and you go, well, McCree's the odd man out there, but Anna, Zen, and BAP are all flex support, so I want to build a flex support pool. Like, I'd either go, I'm played a bunch of different heroes, not necessarily all of them, but a bunch of different heroes. I found one I like, now I want to focus on that hero. Or you play a bunch of heroes, you find, hey, I like this collection of them, and this collection, even if it doesn't include my second favorite hero, mostly includes this type of hero, so I want to learn to play this type of hero because it'll start building me a hero pool, and I think I want to play flex supports long term, for example. That's what I'd recommend. I would not worry at all, especially down in silver, what the win rates of heroes are. The win rates of heroes aren't really enforced, truth be told, for most roles, until GM High Masters. Like, you're not going to find teams hard meta slaving until GM or High Masters. And win rates aren't super useful either, because you run into a thing where people at those levels will adjust what they're playing. If they're not winning, they'll adjust what they're playing. So good heroes win rates will come close to 50%. What you really would be looking at more if you were trying to snipe that information would be pick rate information. And yes, pick rate has to do with perception more than actual value, but it's still the better indicator of what's a good hero, what's not, than win rate, because win rate is forced to normalize by it being played by everyone on both sides, and heroes that aren't doing well stop getting picked, so their win rate doesn't get as low as it should, quote unquote, in higher level games at least. But again, I wouldn't look at that. I wouldn't care about that information. I'd find either a hero that speaks to you after you play it for a bit, or a collection of heroes that you generally like that you discover fit into one category. And the 6 categories are main tank, off tank, hit scan, flex DPS, main support, and flex support. And if you need to know which is which, throw up a question in Overwatch questions, and either I or the community in my Discord, I'm sure, will be happy to list out roughly which heroes fall into which things. Okay, it's been really helpful. Thank you. No questions, really. I agree with all of your points. First 2 should work to improve each other. I think I get flustered a bit when there's so much on screen, too. All good. And the thing is, you getting flustered when there's so much on screen isn't a problem, because what we're doing is we're training you to build one habit at a time, and that building a habit can also be thought of as, I'm building something I do automatically. I'm building a known right answer. And the more known right answers you have to situations means instead of 10 things coming at you in this second that your brain needs to solve for, well, your brain has already solved for one of them, 2 of them, 7 of them. And once your brain has already solved for 7 of them, there's only 3 things in this second that your brain needs to do because you've just already pre-trained your brain, and suddenly you're not overwhelmed anymore because there's a lot less that you're actually having to use that processing power on because your autopilot is just solving it. You just know the answer to more of the things because you've worked on your Valking. You don't have to be thinking about that. So you can be thinking about how am I going to dance to dodge this Hanzo that's shooting at me, or whatever the case may be. Just need to go back and rewatch the video a few times now. No problem. Window plus Valk even better. Sounds good. Overbuff hasn't been a valid source for a long time. Mostly true. Win rates are misleading. Nishios have high win rates because they are played only by experts or in good situations. Yeah, that's part of it. Private profiles did something to it. Yeah. Pick rates are better for identifying meta heroes, but at our rank, ultimately, it doesn't matter. You can climb on anything, play what you like. Yes. No problem, Gary. If you choose a hero that people always want on their team, Ryan, Anna, Mercy, McCree, Hanzo, then you will be able to focus on learning. There's some truth to that. There is some truth to that. But I'd agree. It's more important that you enjoy it. Right. Don't try to force your way playing a hero you don't enjoy just because it's meta. It's a video game. You're doing it in downtime. You're doing it sort of to relax. Relax might be the wrong word because if you're really doing it in competitive, you might be doing it to get better at it because you enjoy the competition, but it's something you're choosing to invest your free time in, and you should enjoy that. You're not doing it for anyone else. You're not currently in a situation where you're making a ton of money doing it or anything, and well, maybe you'd get there at some point. You're certainly not starting there, and it doesn't make sense to go in there with that mentality yet. Were there DPS players who had to play Brig because they were trying to make money doing it? Yeah, there were, but you're nowhere near there. You don't need to think like that yet. Okay, that's going to do it. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. Okay, that's going to do it. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.